Hello, weebs. This is the inaugural episode of Anime News Show. I am your host, and Janet says these glasses make me look like an insect. I think we can agree that Janet has no taste. Let's see the news stories that you need to know for this month of October 2018. Or rather, the stories that I care to report on, since there's no way I'm going to talk about everything that's happening. Oh, this is a good one. We have a new promo video dropping for the Morose Mononokean Season 2. To me, this is the show about fuzzy monsters, and I'm happy to report that in Season 2 we have promise of more fuzzy monsters. That reminds me, Janet, you promised me a fuzzy emoji plush. I still haven't gotten that yet. You can get me one in place of a year-end bonus. I don't think it's been said when Season 2 is going to air, but I think it's pretty safe to assume it's going to be winter 2019. Here's a fresh new announcement. The Royal Tudor is getting a new film scheduled to be released in theaters in February 2019. It looks like most of the staff from the TV anime will be returning. They're making an original story not based on the manga, which I believe is what they also did with the ending of the TV anime. I believe it was original. The film will be introducing two new characters in the form of sadistic white-haired twins. I guess that's what sequels do these days to try to spice things up. Clichés aside, I have to say I'm interested in seeing it. As I said, I like what they did with Season 1. I think it was a cute and endearing story about education, and I have faith in the production team that they will bring us more of that. This next bit of news will be a bit exciting or disappointing. The good news is that Tiger and Bunny is getting a new TV animation project starting this season. Fans have been clamoring for a second season for years, but the bad news is that it merely takes place in the Tiger and Bunny universe. In Double Decker, the main characters are completely new, and instead of being set in the city of Stern Build, it takes place in Lisvaleta. I'm not sure how we're saying that word. Crunchyroll released the first episode about a month ago to build early hype. For those of you who only got into the anime world within the last 5 or 6 years, you may have missed out on the Tiger and Bunny hype, so you don't understand what I'm talking about. It was an immensely popular 25-episode series from 2011. It was very much an homage to the American superhero genre. The main characters have superpowers, they work for a reality TV show, Hero League, and it was notable for having two main characters with a strong love-hate bromance. And based on the first episode of Double Decker, which I previewed, it looks like they're trying to recreate that sort of chemistry with the main characters here. Instead of working as superheroes in the entertainment world, Kirill and Doug work as special detectives for the police department. I will say, though, that what is new is that there's a lot more girl characters. Pretty much all of the two main characters' co-workers are women. There's also a lot more nudity, which I suppose is a plus or minus depending on your point of view. Well, I think that's enough anime news. Let's talk about manga. This actually ties in with the previous story. Mizuki Sakakibara, former Marvel Comics illustrator, created a 9-volume manga series based on the Tiger and Bunny anime. She will be returning to the Tiger and Bunny universe with a Double Decker manga adaptation launching, well, it should already be out by the time this video is posted. It will be published on select digital outlets. Check them out if you are inclined. Okay, this next one, it technically is not manga, but it is printed matter, so. Janet, have you ever wanted handsome men to teach you about architecture? Well, now's your chance, and for much cheaper than a course at community college. The October 2018 issue of Kenchiku Chishiki, which is an architectural magazine, is hoping to inspire a passion for buildings amongst potential Fujoshi readers. The men are supposedly anthropomorphized versions of building parts. Let's see if we can see what some of these illustrations are doing. Based on the pictures, I have to admit I have some doubt about how effective anthropomorphization is going to be in illustrating these concepts, but okay. By the way, if there's anyone out there screaming that it is sexist to objectify men as pillars and beams, this is actually follow-up to an issue from the same magazine that came out last year, which did the exact same thing but used pretty girls instead. Oh. Here's a bit of it might have been news. In case you didn't hear, there was going to be a Back to the Future manga drawn by Yusuke Murata, who is perhaps best known for the illustriously illustrated One Punch Man manga. Unfortunately, it has been cancelled. Bob Gale, who's one of the original creators of the movie trilogy, had agreed to supervise the manga, but apparently there were some other parties that needed to also provide permission in order for the manga to happen, and they did not. But Murata has released some of the illustrations that he had worked on so far, and you may go check those out. Let's cheer up by thanking our sponsors for today's episode. We have... Shannon, do you have the sponsor sheet for today? We don't have any sponsors. Okay. Let's roll to a commercial. That was fast. We can't run commercials. I thought you said this channel was monetized. Oh, I see. Right. Well, even if this show isn't earning any money, I hope you're planning to pay me. After you complained about my glasses, I decided I would get some nice Gucci sunglasses that would meet your approval. But if I'm not getting paid to be here, then that's not going to happen. Speaking of money, let's talk about some new and perhaps odd ways you can spend it. Is there a trend recently to sell anime and manga branded art supplies? Maybe this has gone on for a while and I just missed it. Because firstly, we have a set of Cardcaptor Sakura pencils. Cardcaptor Sakura, of course, is an older franchise by now. It's had a ton of beautiful merchandise put out, and it looks like it's getting a pencil set in 6 colors, 2 of which are green. Well, that's a very limited selection. Hopefully there end up being more colors than that, but if not, you can instead pick up the pencil set and coloring pages that come with the limited edition of Witch Hat Atelier, Volume 4. It looks like 7 Seas will be licensing it. They probably won't be including the pencils in the English edition, though. Also nice, we have a colorful new figurine for Natsume's Book of Friends. Are we calling it Natsume Yujinsho now? I know back when the manga was licensed and then Nisa licensed the DVDs, everywhere was calling it Natsume's Book of Friends. Crunchyroll was calling it Natsume's Book of Friends, but then all of a sudden they started calling it Natsume Yujinsho, and then now we're supposed to be calling it Natsume Yujinsho. I'm getting a little confused from the constant name flipping, but okay. There's a new Natsume movie that was just released in Japan. Anyway, this figure will be released in June 2019. I don't know what to think about it. It's just different. Yeah, when the art changes on you all of a sudden. But what I do think is that the latest Mikazuki Munechika figure is very tall. Meant to be life-size, this Token Rambu figure stands at 1.8 meters, and at this point I would probably just call it a statue. If you think it will be expensive, it is. The price for one of these is 3 million yen, which is in the neighborhood of 30,000 US dollars. The official website lists shipping prices to the different prefectures, which to any of them is going to be several $1,000s. The good news for those who live outside Japan is that they will ship abroad. I guess you'll have to ask for a price estimate. Because there will only be 10 of these manufactured, there will be a lottery, and only 10 people will get the honor of spending $35,000 to take him home in 2019. This is not the first full-sized anime/game figure. There have been a handful of others, but this is the most expensive one I could find a price for. All the other ones were under 3 million yen. If you want some Token Rambu merchandise that doesn't break your bank, or your back, there is the Yamanbaguri Kunihiro wrist cushion. So if you need a cushion to rest your wrist on while you're using the computer, but you don't want to use one of those scandalous booby or booty mouse pads, instead you can take a drunk burrito boy with you to use at work. Now that you've hopefully recovered from your sticker shock, you might be interested to know that November of this year is what would be Osamu Tezuka's 90th birthday. There's a lot of ways we could use this opportunity to recognize and honor Tezuka's priceless contributions to the modern development of anime and manga. For instance, there's the launch of Tezukami, which is supposed to happen this month, but for a premium, quality, collector's item that will go down in history, we get chairs. Yamato Industry will be manufacturing a mere 50 chairs to sell at just under $5,000 each. They are based on a chair that Tezuka designed for Dr. Blackjack's living room, which is probably the most obscure reference you could use. But as a person of taste myself, I say it looks pretty good. But the stamping on the armrest might be a little tacky. Did someone say tacky? Our last piece of merchandise is another. Okay, before I get into the last segment, I want to do a special section. October means new anime season. So, what I'm going to do is judge anime from the 2018 autumn season strictly based on their promotional posters. That's right, I'm going to judge the shows by their cover. In my opinion, at the very least, you can get an idea of a show's budget based on whether they could afford to hire people with good design sense to make their posters. So, let's do a little switchover. Thank you. So, first up. So this is a dynamic piece. The image is tilted. The girls are very nicely drawn. I'm assuming it's a drama show, but it's trying. It is trying. 7 out of 10. Ooh, bad. All of these girls have the exact same face. The design, the layout, the poses, it's all very generic. It's exuding a cute, energetic mood. It's going to probably be boring for most people, but I think it's going to get a small but loyal following. I'm giving this a 4.5 out of 10. Ooh. Doing too much for most of them. It looks like they have sort of backpedaled and they did one image where they show the characters very clearly, and the one with the clock. The guy in the back was just washed out. He matched the background too well. He doesn't stand out. There's nothing in here to make the characters stand out. They're trying to be dramatic, but it's like they don't know what to do with this many characters. You have to commit to a character. I'm giving this a 6, maybe if I'm generous, a 6.5 out of 10. I get the sense they have some budget, but I don't think they know what to do with this many characters. Now this also, in one of the pictures here, they have a lot of character, but because I think the colors are very pastel, it sort of forgives it. It makes it look less crowded than it actually is. I mean, I'm sure this is a romance series. It's got a very cute aesthetic. I think this is going to be a show that sort of slides under the radar. It's not going to have a broad appeal, but it's going to have a decent-sized, loyal following. The people who like bump into each other online and they're like, oh, I know what your avatar is from, that's my favorite show. Okay, a lot of people are going to watch the show and it's going to be trash. There are going to be some loud and vociferous debates about how trash it is. 5 out of 10. Ugh. Clearly yaoi. This is not going to be the worst budget yaoi ever. The animation's still going to be pretty bad. Hardcore yaoi fangirls, of course, are going to flock to it. For everyone else, though, it's just going to be very blah. 5 out of 10. Oh gosh. This is the worst thing I've seen so far. They have individual posters for each of the characters, but the poses, the design, they're all exactly the same. There's no individuality, there's no personality for these characters. 2 out of 10, this is going to be terrible. I mean, there'll probably be some people like, okay, this is entertaining for me, and that's fine. I'm not telling you what you can or can't enjoy, but it's going to be bad. Now this one I find very intriguing. The characters are either dressed up as, or they actually are Halloween costumes, it looks. I think this is going to be very unique, and very appropriately themed for October. I'm giving this an 8 out of 10. You know, I've been turned off of Fantasyland anime for a while now because they're generally generic and pointless, and it's all a contest to see how many cute girls you can pack into them. This looks a bit refreshing to someone who's jaded like myself. You have this very dynamic, even dark imagery. It's not stuffed with flying cleavage. The one thing though is that this girl in the front looks out of place. She's bright, she's fresh looking, you know, put a little mud on her or something and then it'd be consistent. She's the one thing that makes me pause. As it is, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. If the gritty aesthetic was a bit more consistent, I'd bump it up to 7.5 out of 10. Oh dear. This is just too cluttered. I'm giving it a 4 out of 10. So this is the first traditional shoujo type of poster that I've seen so far. The title talks about running, but the poster looks like it's about voice acting. It's definitely appealing to the girly aesthetic. I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. It makes a good effort, but it's a bit inconsistent. Like the girl in the front, she's got a very soft glow look to her, which sort of mutes her appearance. Am I supposed to be focusing on the bob-haired girl in the middle? Or the girl in the front with the glasses? I don't know. Okay, this is a very nicely designed poster. All of the main characters here are equally featured, but they are actually doing stuff. They're not striking an artificial, awkward pose. They're all showing off their personalities. You've got color themes. You've got the violet outlines of the characters, and then you've got the white background with this bold black title over it. This is beautiful. I mean, this is like almost something I'd want to put on my wall. Based on the title, I'm guessing the girls all live in the same boarding house. I'm guessing this is an energetic, but more so lighthearted drama about daily lives of girls who share a house together. I probably wouldn't enjoy the actual series itself, but I'm guessing a lot of people who are into cute girl drama are going to love it. 7.5 out of 10. Okay, I've actually heard a little bit about this one. I believe it's about high schoolers who do sumo wrestling. When I think of teenagers being fans of sports, I don't usually think of sumo. However, this seems to be trying to fire up viewers literally to make it look cool. Like you're a media creator in your life. How do we get 13-year-old boys to watch a story about thick guys wrestling in loincloths? Well, let's put on a lot of flames, because flames are cool. It looks like your usual energetic shonen sports show. There's gonna be lots of fiery speeches about determination and effort and, you know, sticking in there all that good shonen stuff. I'm probably a little over-reliant on that, though, so I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. Okay, I think this is a PA Works title. Based on this poster, I'm seeing drama, which is not surprising. There's an easygoing mood, maybe a little pensive. This girl in one of the posters, she looks a little sad. There's probably going to be some heartbreak. There's probably some shocking twists or tragedy. There is some floating, which of course could just be an aesthetic choice. But based on the glitter, I'm guessing there's some magic involved. So far, I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. I'm not ready to say this is going to be great, but I think there's going to be some surprises. Alright, this is the type of poster that really gets my attention. It's very simple, it's straightforward, it's minimalist without hiding everything. It shows confidence, but I don't think there are many other people who are attracted to this type of design. There's no pretty people, there's no bright colors to attract the hordes. I think this is something I will enjoy, but most people will just pass over. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. This is clearly about a circus, and I am very curious. Are the people in this picture a family, or do they just know each other? Do they work for the circus, or is the circus attacking them? The aesthetic is a bit old school. I'm guessing it's meant to appeal to the 35 and up crowd. I am curious. I'm giving it a solid 7 out of 10. I can see two possibilities. One is that this ends up being extremely niche and only gets a tiny audience, or it ends up being the dark horse of the season. I think it's meant to last for a lot longer than one season, so it's intending to be here for the long haul. I think if all the three featured characters here were standing at the same angle, this wouldn't look like an awkward Photoshop job. The designer here is definitely trying to go for something dramatic, but it just looks like a hack job. I mean, good on them for not cluttering up the characters. There's obviously a lot of characters, as there's down in the corner, but the three that we're seeing are all standing at different angles. It just looks weird. 4 out of 10. So, this is the antithesis of the type of anime that I like. But I'm going to give it credit because it's not over-cluttering any scenes. We're not seeing these exuberant, over-the-top poses. I think the people who will enjoy this are the people who like slightly scandalous schoolgirl stories. I think most people are going to decide it's dull or trashy. 6.5 out of 10. Oh, this looks so bad. In the second poster here, they did try, but this one where, sort of like a cut and paste, like you take the pictures and you cut them up and paste them into a collage. Sometimes this can work. Here, it does not work. The costumes look so bad. There better be a good in-universe explanation for them. None of them match. There's no aesthetic consistency. The boy in the red jacket does not look too bad. Then we've got like a nice dressed up schoolgirl. Then we have a scientist with a red scarf. And then we have a guy dressed like a prince. Why? As I said, maybe there's a good in-universe explanation for this, but a lot of shows don't have one. And based on the quality I'm seeing so far, I'm not expecting one. 3 out of 10. Well, this looks cutesy. I'm guessing it's for younger kids. There's a boy with a fairy in a jar. Or maybe it's a naiad. It looks like the quality will be decent. Probably some reasonably good adventure and drama. But without any intense subject matter. Older viewers might get a bit bored. 6.5 out of 10. So, I don't speak Japanese, but I noticed that the word emoto is in the title. Not just once, but twice. And between that and these sidelong, blushing glances that the older brother is giving his emoto, I'm designating this a trash series right now. 2.5 out of 10. We've got a typical shonen adventure type of poster layout. And then there's another cut and paste design, like we saw earlier, which I did criticize that show for doing. But here we have consistent styling, size, and we've also got a consistent dynamic angle, and I think this makes it work. So I give this a pass in this case. This show could range anywhere from pretty decent to actually pretty good. 7 out of 10 for now. So it looks like they took a girls' idol group and gave them swords and were like, everybody jump! This is clearly trash, but the designer went to some good effort to make a dynamic poster. You can clearly see all the girls. They're not all stuffed into a pyramid pile in the middle. And I do have to say, I do like that the girls are all wearing the same uniform. But when I see this type of show with warriors who all work for the same monster or crime-fighting organization, it kind of bothers me when they all wear different uniforms. As if they all had time in this crisis situation to hire their own fashion designer to create a custom, cute, sexy, form-fitting outfit just for them. It's not realistic, and it just further reminds me I'm watching a very artificial scenario. And while I know I would not want to be bearing this much skin if I was fighting something with sharp claws, the consistency makes this situation more believable. 5 out of 10. This is very interesting because I'm sure they're trying to appeal to nostalgia with this very painterly aesthetic. I'm not sure if it's meant to harken to early 2000s titles like Haibane Renmei, or more so to 80s titles, but they're definitely trying to appeal to people who like things a bit gritty and old school. I do not expect this to have very wide appeal, but it's promising old school quality, I think, and we'll have to see if it lives up to that promise. I'm gonna give it a cautious 6.5 out of 10, but I would love to be surprised. So this is baffling on all fronts. You've got this contrast of innocent imagery with all these girls nicely standing in front of a sunset. You've got these very soft colors. It's contrast against a very boldly colored picture of a girl in a very fetishy bunny suit. I'm guessing this is a softcore harem. The main guy will probably stick to the main girl. Probably he'll be admiring her from afar for a bit. I'm expecting some strange stuff. The sunset scene, it looks like a very awkward Photoshop job. Like, there's no shadowing on the front of them. They look like stickers. They were stickers that were just stuck onto a picture of a sunset. I suppose guys who are looking for a harem romance with a twist will probably like it. I'm giving it a 5.5 out of 10. I think this is pretty self-explanatory, especially when you read the full title. Working woman conveniently gets into close contact with a kinda hot guy. There seem to be a lot of middle-aged women who fantasize about these sort of convenient situations and fantasize about having big shiny breasts. Can't relate. So this is something more refreshing. I admit I'm a bit of a sucker for simplistic watercolor-looking art. It reminds me a bit of Takako Shimura. I'm noticing that all the girls seem to have the exact same face, which is either poor design or there's a twist that all these girls are the same person. The aesthetic is very calm and minimalist, so I'm guessing it's going to attract older and artsier viewers. We'll have to see if it can actually deliver something unique, or if it just ends up being very bland. Well, we've got two very different looks here. We've got the idyllic lakeside town and then Space Pod. Both of them are equally dull and generic looking, so 5 out of 10. I've actually heard a little bit about this one. From what I understand, it's about a guy who is transported or reincarnated into a fantasy world as a slime. Amusing concept, but it looks like a pretty generic fantasy anime. If fantasy is your gig and you want something a little fresh, I imagine it'll be fun. 6 out of 10. So, assumedly the white-haired girl is a vampire. It looks very cutesy, the girls have dumpling faces. I'm expecting it's going to be cute, but with some drama. But nothing too wild, so 5.5 out of 10. It looks like KyoAni is going to inaugurate a new boys sports anime, this time with archery. I'm seeing a lot of emphasis on little details, but it's also very chill and relaxed. I suppose it'll be boring to a lot of people, but I'm down for it. 8 out of 10. Extremely energetic, but the vibe I'm getting from the pictures is that there's a little girl who's trying to escape from a creepy maid. I'm uncomfortable. I suppose some people are going to find this funny and comedic. I'm in the camp of too creepy for me. 5 out of 10. Is that Lelouch CC with her hair chopped off? Looks like it's going to have nice art, fantastic action scenes, and lots of emphasis on flapping cleavage. I expect to see a lot of debates on whether or not the ecchi adds to or distracts from the show. 7 out of 10. One of these promo pieces looks very bad, but the other ones look very good. Obviously, this is a Yuri anime. The art looks really nice, especially the forest scene. It doesn't look photoshopped, the background details are nice. It looks really good. It looks very fluffy, and I'm sure the Yuri fans will absolutely love it. 8 out of 10. So I'm guessing this is a bodyguard story. It doesn't look too promising. It's almost like it's trying to use bright colors to distract you from the lackluster concepts. On the other hand, the problems might just be due to this looking like CG art, and it's hard to make CG art look good. 5 out of 10. I don't normally like to judge a person's crotch, but does that crotch look weird to you? Like, did his torso get stretched out too long or something? Anyway, I heard tell that this anime has something to do with running. It looks pretty laid back. Like, this here is a club of people who like to get up way too early on Saturday mornings, carpool out to some remote place, and go running in the woods or along the mountain roads. I would give it a try just for novelty's sake. It might have some good drama, but I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. Let us wrap this up with the final new series for fall 2018, Zombieland Saga. One of these posters looks like it's for a classic low-budget horror film, which I'm sure is the point. The second picture is all just cut and pastes of cute girls. Is this going to be along the lines of Corpse Party, you think? It looks like something that should be based on a game, but it says on the poster that it's an original anime. I wouldn't be surprised though if there's already gaming planned for this, and partway through airing, they're gonna just drop the announcement for the game. Either this is going to be really, really good or really, really bad. My gut is telling me 3 out of 10, but that first poster makes me want to think that they're really smart. Like they know what they're doing. So this one's a wild card for me. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people in the comments excited to tell me just how wrong my assessments were. You're welcome. Alright, back to our regularly scheduled programming. This next part is going to be release news for North America. If you don't care to buy North American licensed anime and manga, and light novels, then you can skip this part. For those of you who are excited for domestic releases, stay with us. Oh, this is something I actually mentioned earlier, which is the new Natsume's Book of Friends movie. The Anime NYC convention will show the US premiere of the movie on November 17th. I'm not seeing any word yet whether it's going to screen elsewhere. Let's move to physical releases. Reborn fans, rejoice! The anime is finally getting a home video release. Discotek has put out seasons 1 through 4 subbed on a single Blu-ray release. As far as I understand, it has not been remastered or upscaled. Just put it on Blu-rays because you can get more stuff on them. I'm not a fan of the series myself, but I know that people have been hoping for a release for a long time. It started airing 10 years ago now. Let's talk about some new manga releases. So back when My Hero Academia film 2 Heroes was released in Japan, people who went to the theaters got to get a short free manga booklet. Viz has released this short manga on their website. The thing is, in order to read it, you're going to have to create an account and buy it for free. It's not just hanging out for people to read whenever, and you can try going to this link to read it. Oh, Radiant, which was one of the anime that I just reviewed. It looks like the first volume has just come out from Viz, both digital and hard copy releases. Dr. Stone is also freshly out. I read the first several chapters a while back, and it was an exciting post-apocalyptic series. Kodansha put out Volume 1 of Sailor Moon Eternal Edition. I'm not sure what that is, but it's a whopping $20. I'm guessing it's a very fancy reprint. Kodansha also put out The Walls Between Us, which doesn't look like something I would get invested in, but some of you might like it. This one looks a little off the beaten path. Dimension 21 by Shintaro Kago, put out by Fantagraphics. And Fantagraphics always has interesting manga releases. In light novel news, the first volume of the Orphan novel was digitally released. I saw the Sorcerer's Stabber Orphan anime a couple years ago. It was different. It's something that I would consider checking out. So those are releases that have already come out, but we have some new announcements for things to be coming out. The light novel, All Routes Lead to Doom, My Next Life as a Villainess, will be getting a digital release by the J Novel Club, and its manga adaptation, My Next Life as a Villainess, All Routes Lead to Doom, will be released by 7C starting in July 2019. The plot synopsis sounded funny. It's about a girl who thinks she's trapped in the role of a villainess from the Otome game. Akiko Higashimura, who is probably best known for being the creator of Princess Jellyfish, put out a manga loosely based on her own life called Blank Canvas. 7Cs will be releasing the first volume in May 2019. I was going to cover some live action news, but I think this video is long enough, and I don't really care. But before we go, if there's any stories from the show that you want to hear more about, there will be a link in the video description that leads to a full list of links to articles that we referenced to put together the info used in this video. I do encourage you to check those out, because honestly, the news sites have the real journalists and the people doing all the research and the translation, and without their work, this show would not exist. So give them some love. And if you want to give this show some love, give it a like so that Janet brings back next month, and sub to the channel so she can start paying me. How many more subscribers do we need to be eligible for monetization? That many. Okay. We need a lot of subs. Am I supposed to be focusing on the dark-haired girl?
Am I supposed to be focusing on the dark-haired girl?
Musically, Sakakibara, former Marvel comic, former Marvel. There is the Yamanbagari. And it was notable for having two main characters with a strong love-hate romance.